Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedstuffs 365. I'm Sarah Muirhead. Farmers for Soil Health is a collaboration between the National Corn Growers Association, the National Pork Board, and the United Soybean Board. Its goal is to advance conservation practices to improve soil health across the U.S. Joining us today is Ben West, Executive Director of Farmers for Soil Health, and he's going to walk us through what this initiative is all about and talk to us a little bit about how it can contribute to pork's sustainability goal. Welcome, Ben. Thank you for being here today.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
For those of you that are joining us, we thank you for taking the time to tune in. If you have any questions, feel free to post those over in the chat area to the right-hand side of your screen. If you're joining us through our social media channel, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, simply post your questions in those channels directly. So Ben, let's get started. Tell us about yourself and your role with Farmers for Soil Health.
I've been working with Farmers for Soil Health since early this year. I'm the executive director, which simply means I try and connect all of our partners and collaborators working on this project. It is a big project with lots of partners, and I'm lucky to be able to work with them every day and help them do the great work that they do. I come from a background in higher education. I worked in higher education for 25 years. I was a professor and extension specialist. I thought at one time I might want to go and be a university president. But I decided a few years ago what I really enjoyed was getting my hands dirty in projects that matter. My background has been agriculture and conservation, and Farmers for Soil Health certainly fits that bill. If you're not excited about what's happening in conservation today in agriculture, then you should pay attention, because there's some really, really exciting things happening. And Farmers for Soil Health is a great example of that.
Things that probably need to happen too, which is also kind of neat. So talk to us about the basics. Tell us about Farmers for Soil Health, its intention, its goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So Farmers for Soil Health, as you mentioned, is a collaboration between the National Corn Growers Association, National Pork Board, and United Soybean Board. And they came together to try and drive sustainability together. Farmers for Soil Health is right now defined by a grant that we got from USDA. We were able to get one of the Climate-Smart Commodity grants to drive adoption of cover crops in 20 states. And our goal long-term is to double the U.S. acreage in cover crops every year from about 15.7 million acres to 30 million acres by 2030.
So why 20 states? Why did you select that kind of magic number, so to speak?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's just a starting place for us. Farmers for Soil Health is brand new, and we had to start with something that was manageable. So we tried to pick the 20 states that were particularly important for corn and soy and pork. So it pretty much spans the Midwest, the Upper South, and the Mid-Atlantic states.
So we talked about some commodity groups, and talk to us how the partnership exists, how that works between Farmers for Soil Health and these commodity groups.
Yeah, absolutely. So Farmers for Soil Health started 2 or 3 years ago in conversations between leadership at the National Corn Growers Association, National Pork Board, and United Soybean Board. And basically they said, each of our organizations are working on our own sustainability programs and initiatives. What would it look like if we came together and leveraged all of our assets and our capabilities and our farmer networks on a big sustainability play? And that was kind of the birthplace of Farmers for Soil Health. I mean, if you look at corn and soy, obviously those two commodities dominate U.S. row crop acreage, and pigs eat a lot of those commodities. So as 3 organizations, they have a massive footprint in agriculture, and together can really make some big advances in sustainability.
So that partnership probably really helped to propel Farmers for Soil Health, to put a little more behind it and to create a little more recognition for the group and its initiatives. Would you think that's a fair assessment?
Oh, absolutely. And, a lot of people, it's an important part of the story. A lot of people would say, well, they probably came together to go after one of the USDA Climate-Smart Commodity grants, because USDA, announced $3.2 billion in funding. But actually, Farmers for Soil Health was created about 6 months before those grants were announced. So it really emerged from an authentic desire to work together, to be collaborative, and to put farmers in the driver's seat for sustainability in the U.S.
So when these groups, I mean, when you have initiatives or things that you want to address, all of these commodity groups, along with Farmers for Soil Health, get together and talk about those things. Is it, so you talk about collaboration? Is it really, everyone is going down the same path or setting that path to begin with?
Yeah, absolutely. And those commodity groups have always worked well together, but this has just kind of cemented that relationship more and developed a built-in mechanism for those organizations and the farmers that lead those organizations to continually talk about and work on sustainability. And of course, those three commodity groups as an organization, as the founding group, was able to attract a lot of other really capable and impressive partners to drive this particular initiative.
Now, the National Pork Board has a rather unique position in the partnership. That they really recognize that a large portion of pork sustainability footprint comes from how crops are grown and inevitably becomes the feed that goes into these pigs. So tell us how cover crops may help corn and soybean farmers improve soil and improve their sustainability metrics, and how that might filter down to the pork industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, farmers have known for a long time that cover crops had significant benefits, but still we have a relatively low adoption rate of cover crops across the country because while they offer a lot of benefits, they can be tricky. Farmers for Soil Health is going to help them figure it out and unlock the potential of cover crops to do things like increase water infiltration, reduce erosion and nutrient runoff, increase soil carbon, and just overall increase soil health, which aligns with the sustainability goals of pork and of all of the buyers of pork around the country.
So we talked about the pork industry having that recognition of, the crop sustainability and how that's important down the chain. Do you think the crop folks have that same understanding of why it's important for the, that sustainability metric to be met, and how that can influence the livestock side of the business, of the sector?
Oh, absolutely. And farmers are have always been conservation minded. I mean, farmers have been at the forefront of many conservation advances and sustainability advances. Many times farmers probably feel like they were going it alone because they were shouldering all of the burden for the cost of sustainability. And I think it's heartening of what's happening right now around the country, where farmers' interest in conservation and sustainability is being matched by corporate investment, recognizing that, long-term sustainability is going to require a lot of partners at the table, and corporations are one of them, putting real money on the table to support on-farm sustainability.
So you really feel it's important then? I'm sensing that all three of these commodity organizations that we talked about are really working together towards that common goal.
Yeah, in so many ways, it's important. I mean, first of all, almost every corn farmer is also a soy farmer and vice versa. And many of them also have pigs, or at least, are deeply ingrained in the pork industry. So again, farmers banding together to work on sustainability together, we think could be a real key to the future. And we're just getting started. There certainly are other farmer commodity organizations that we've been talking to that we expect in the coming months and years to join Farmers for Soil Health.
So why should farmers enroll in Farmers for Soil Health?
Yeah, really good question. I guess there's two big reasons. Number one, once they can figure out, the nuances of how to use cover crops, if they're not already, research shows pretty clearly that it is a benefit to their operation long-term, both in terms of long-term sustainability, but also in their bottom line year to year. So that's one reason. The other reason is, as kind of I alluded to earlier, companies have been telling us that they are getting ready to invest significantly in sustainability. Many already have, and farmers, starting to adopt these practices today will enable them and position them to capitalize on some of those financial incentives in the future. And I probably should say also, right now we're talking about cover crops. Right now, our grant from USDA is focused on cover crops, but long-term, Farmers for Soil Health will be positioned to help farmers implement and then capitalize on other conservation practices like conservation tillage and buffer strips, et cetera.
Right. Sustainability does not necessarily mean a cost for farmers. It can also mean a way to improve their bottom line, right?
Absolutely. Like with any new practice, there can be some financial risk at the beginning. Research shows long-term, it's a financial benefit, but in the short term, there can be some risk. And that's one of the reasons why a cornerstone of our program right now are financial incentives for farmers for the first 3 years. So when farmers enroll, they'll get financial cost incentives over the first 3 years to help mitigate their implementation of a new practice.
So what are the next steps for Farmers for Soil Health? Is there a plan?
Yep. So we just launched our enrollment site and website literally just last week in early August. That website, by the way, is farmersforsoilhealth.com. That site has just launched. It is live now. It's still a little bit in beta testing. We've got a few bugs to work out, but we're going to be farmers, if they haven't already started seeing advertisements and other communications about it, they will. We hope to have enrollment really get kicked off this fall with farmers enrolling, with next year like a really big, important year for enrollment where we think we'll get the bulk of the farmers into the program.
Any size farmer can be a part of the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Any size farmer. There's a cap on the number of acres you can enroll, 1,000 acres. But absolutely, we hope, and as a matter of fact, we have big goals to engage small farmers and underrepresented farmers in the program.
Any final thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with here today?
Yeah, I think one thing we haven't talked about that might be important, we haven't talked at all about our technical assistance program. So we talked about financial incentives, and we know that's important. Another thing and a barrier that keeps farmers from adopting cover crops is technical assistance, just not knowing how to do it. And so we're working with commodity organization partners in each of our 20 states to roll out technical assistance programs to actually have boots on the ground and people in each state to help farmers work through those decisions and figure out how to best use cover crops in their operations.
So not just some white papers on a website. It sounds like you've got, like you say, boots on the ground and really out there to assist as needed.
Absolutely.
Very good. I want to thank you, Ben West, Executive Director of Farmers for Soil Health. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you, Sarah.
As we all know, the National Pork Board builds trust in pork production by supporting pig and crop farmers in their sustainability practices. And with that in mind, it is important to note that Farmers for Soil Health is not the only Climate-Smart Commodities program available to farmers living in select states. For more information, visit porkcheckoff.org/sustainability to learn more about advancing U.S. sustainability grant and how you can be a part of that. That's where pig farmers receive technical assistance and financial incentives to adopt climate-smart practices. Until next time, for Feedstuffs 365, I'm Sarah Muirhead.